Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorial brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Tutorials Group. And let's jump right into today's poster who asked a very good and simple question of how to slightly blur around the address um, piece here. So, the simplest way I think would be to choose just the address plate first using the polygon tool. So because it's a hard line edge, it should be a lot easier. Well, it's somewhat a hard line edge. You see, it's actually kind of soft. There's no such thing as a really hard line edge. So what I would do first is pick out the object in question that you want to keep sharp. And I'm going to cut it out like this with the polygon tool, because this is supposed to be a sharp-edged object, but really isn't. Normally, what I would do is I would use a soft eraser and erase around the edges. But because it's supposed to be a hard line edge, I will go ahead and use this tool to see if it works. If it doesn't, then we just start this thing all over again. Anyway, so you just cut out, or choose out, however the heck you're supposed to say that, your object. You could say choose your object, but then what I'm doing is the process of choosing it and cutting it out. So I don't know how to say it. Anyway, okay, so I double click here. All right, so I've chosen my object that I want to cut out to keep sharp. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say copy. As long as this up here is chosen, that layer, which is the only layer, I'm going to hit copy and it'll automatically make another copy up here. So if I turn off the back layer, all you got is just your forward object right there. That's what we want to keep sharp, right? So let's go ahead and turn that back on and turn on the background. I'm going to copy the background because I'm going to do a couple different things that I'll show you. This is kind of fun. I'll turn off the bottom layer and I'm going to work with this layer right here. Okay, you can make the whole layer a little bit blurrier by going to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And here you can choose the amount of blur that you want. Right here it's set at 3. I can move this down to make it a little sharper. And as I nudge it, you'll see the whole background becomes more blur. All the way till you get up to here where you can't even tell what the background is. So what's kind of cool is it looks kind of like 3D if you do this. This is at like 4.0, 4.0. That's a pretty good look. I kind of like that. But you particularly the poster asked us how to slightly blur just the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small blur. I don't know, let's go 3.5. Okay, so it's slightly blurred beyond the edges. Okay, and then if you wanted to have the rest of it to be not blurred, I'm gonna exaggerate this in 4.0 so you can see. Is all you have to do now is dissolve this blur to the very bottom layer that's still sharp. So if I unclick the bottom layer to make it available, come back to this middle layer, right? If I toggle back and forth, you can see it goes from that layer, now it shows the bottom layer that's sharp. I can go back. So what I'm going to do is grab an eraser and grab a big, let's say 150 point, like around here. And since she wants the edges to be blurred, but she didn't ask about the rest of it to be blurred. So let's go ahead and dissolve it from the edge to a non-blurred. And let's go a little bigger, like a 250. Okay, so I'm going to click here and I'm going to shift click over here. So you see the blurriness is just the edge, which is exactly what she asked for, I believe. I'm not sure what the reason is, because I kind of like it the other way. But that's kind of what she asked for. I'm going to turn this off, and I will delete everything else by choosing what I want to keep, right? Then I can right click and select inverse, which selects everything else on this layer. Hit delete and it takes everything away. I'll get rid of everything else. And now when I turn on the very back layer, this is exactly what she asked for, which was how do you slightly blur just the edges beyond the address. And that's the answer to your question. Personally, I like it when it's all blurred, but this is what you asked for. Anyway, this is a quick tips tutorial, the end of it. And this is Rich calling it quits, saying over and out.